Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Bob Proctor's 5 Days to Mastering the Science of Getting Rich. We are thrilled to have you with us this morning, and you are in for a treat. This is one of my absolute favorite lessons. Get out a pen and a piece of paper. You are definitely going to want to take notes. It is so good. Now, if you're just joining us today for the first time, don't worry. Yesterday's recording is available. And Tommy will go over all the housekeeping items about where you can find recordings and everything related to the training at the end of this call. So for now, I'm going to hand it over to Bob, and you are not going to want to miss this incredible lesson.
Well, I want to welcome all of you, and this is a good lesson. And I'm all ready for this because I think this is one of the most important subjects anyone can get involved in. And unfortunately, it's something that, although it's pretty well known, a lot of people don't have a goal. You ask them what they really want, and they look at you like a deer in the headlights. I mean, well, we have little goal cards. I think I read it yesterday. On one side is a quote by Earl Nightingale that I love it. It said, "This great dream, this surging, dynamic thing, invisible to all of the world, except to the person who holds it, is responsible for every great advance of humankind." It seems almost unbelievable that you can take your pen and sit down and write something on a card that small. Doesn't matter what it is, and it will manifest for you. It'll come into your life. Now, when I was first told that, I thought it was a fairy tale. I thought this is Snow White and the Dwarfs or something. I mean, this is Jack and the Beanstalk. I just couldn't buy it. Now, I had struggled all my life. I knew nothing about goals, absolutely nothing. If you had talked about goals, I would have thought of hockey or possibly soccer, something where goals are scored, but not something that you sit down and work toward. And you say, well, you must have known something about it. I knew nothing about it. And I don't think I'm an exception to the rule. As a matter of fact, I think there's a huge percentage of the population have no idea what a little card like that will do to their mind and then to their life. Now, it's rather sad, but that's the way it is. Okay, now, 60 years I've been playing with this. And here's a few things I've learned. This is something you really want to pay attention to. Respect yourself enough to walk away from anything that no longer serves you, grows you, or makes you happy. Do you know there's all kinds of people, they're in jobs and situations. I remember many years ago, shortly after I got out of the Navy, I didn't know what I was going to do, and my mother saw an ad in the newspaper for welders, Chicago Vocational Welding School. And the guarantee of $2 an hour when you're finished. Now, this is way back in the 50s. And $2 was quite a bit. So anyway, she said, maybe you could do that. Well, I didn't know. And I said, okay. So off I went to a welding school. And I know a little bit about welding, but I'm going to tell you I'm not a welder. Anyway, I finished the school. The instructors were only getting $1.25 an hour. How were they going to guarantee us $2? Well, they couldn't guarantee us $2. And I was working for this guy in the West End of Toronto, had to go in public transportation, and he was the meanest person I have ever worked for. Talked terrible to me all the time. And I would hate that job. All the way there, I hated it. And it was in the winter. And there was sometimes I had to weld outside in a big yard. And all the way out there, I was afraid I was going to get fired. Now, when I look back at that, if that isn't a form of insanity, I don't know what the hell is. You're doing something you just hate doing. You're being treated terribly, and you're traveling all across the city in the winter, and you're afraid you're going to get fired. See, there's something missing there. Well, I think what's missing there is the fact that you're in control of your life. You're literally in control of your life. I love this. Steve Jobs said this, and this is so true. He said, for the past 33 years, I have looked in the mirror every morning and asked myself if today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I'm about to do today? And whenever the answer was no, for too many days in a row, I knew I need to change something. You see, I think we do know inside. Our problem is we're not following that little voice inside. And that's too bad, because we should be following it. And unfortunately, we're not. And we should be thinking of what do we really want? Now, let's make today decision day for you. All right? Make a decision. I want you to totally relax, forget the past, and just deal with right now. Look here for a moment. Here's a little hourglass. The sand in the bottom, there's not much there because you just turned it over. That represents the past. The sand in the top of the glass represents the future. Now, the only thing you're going to do with is what's right here in the center right now. My grandmother, when I was a kid, pretty well raised me, and Grandma was always saying, I'll soon be gone, dear, I'll soon be gone. Now, I think maybe, I was a little kid, and she was probably 60, which was really old. I've since changed my perception of that. But anyway, Grandma was always saying, I'll soon be gone. Well, we thought she was never going to go. And we didn't want her to, but she was always saying that. Grandma was with us until she was 94. 94. She had 34 years, and she's saying, I'll soon be gone, I'll soon be gone. Now, there's another young guy, Bob Yates. I chummed around with him. And Bob turned 16 a little ahead of me, so he got his driver's license ahead of me. He was coming in the Kingston Road Highway with a bit of a panel truck and about 18 gallons of red paint in the back of the truck. He hit the abutment of a big concrete bridge. And that was the end of Bob Yates. There was red paint all over that bridge for years. It was a shock to everybody. 16. If you had asked him a half hour before how much sand he had left, he probably would have said a half a century for low. He didn't have a half an hour. Here's Grandma at 60 saying, I'll soon be gone. She went till she was 94. Do you want to know the truth? You don't know how much sand you got left. I don't know how much sand I got left. But I do know I'm here right now. Now, what we want to do is ask ourselves, what do I really want? What do I really want? Do you know a lot of people have trouble answering that? They have a difficult time answering it. And that's too bad. You don't have to know how you're going to get it. You don't have to know how you're going to get it. However, you must really know, or you must really want it, you see. That is very important. Now, come back here. You don't have to know how you're going to get it, but you must really want it. When I sat down in 1973 in the den in my home in Maplewood Lane in Glenview, Illinois, and I wrote down, I'm going to build a company that operates all over the world, I had absolutely no idea how I was going to get it. And I didn't really have any serious doubts. I felt pretty certain I could do it because I had done a number of things up to that point. I had set goals and accomplished them, and I was pretty sure I could do it. Okay? Now, start asking yourself, what do you really want? It's so important. I'm going to ask you what these people have in common. Watch the screen and you tell me what these people have in common. These people were going to go where they had never been. In fact, They were going to go where no one had ever been. You talk about goals? Let's take a look at them. There they are. The Wright brothers. Now look at this. They didn't know how. The Wright brothers made their first flight on December the 17th, 1903, near Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. Their first flight lasted just 12 seconds. Now, there was a lot of people saying, well, they were only up there for 12 seconds. That isn't the way the Wright brothers looked at it. They thought, we're not only going up there, we got it up, and we kept the damn thing up there for 12 seconds. No one had ever done this. There had been millions spent on this. No one had ever done it. Think, really think about it. Stay with me here. Look at this. There's John Kennedy talking to Wernher von Braun, and he's asking him what it would take to build a rocket that will carry man to the moon and bring him back safely to Earth. And von Braun answered him just 5 simple words: the will to do it. They didn't know how, but you see, they knew if they set the goal, held the idea in their mind. Von Braun said the will to do it. The will is the mental faculty that holds one idea on the screen of the mind. You hold an idea on the screen of your mind, and you're going to be turning that over your subconscious. Your subconscious mind is universal intelligence. And the first law of universal intelligence is a perpetual transmutation of energy. It must move into form. You've got to know where you're going, and you've got to know you're going to get there. Okay, now stay with us here. Really study this. Okay? The laws of this universe are so precise that we don't have any difficulty building a spaceship, sending people to the moon, and we can time the landing with the precision of a fraction of a second. Do we think that we're part of this or we're not part of this? Are we part of another planet? Do these laws apply to us? Well, I think they do. I think I mentioned I wandered into a room to sit down. Linda was watching television. I was going to watch it. I very rarely watch television. I just sat down. I wasn't there for 10 minutes. And I thought, I'm not going to watch this. And I got my phone rang as I was getting up. And it was Mikey. This is about a month ago. Mikey phoned me and she said, Bob, we have just gone into every country in the world. Now, I'm sitting here in a studio that we built. This is literally a television station. I can broadcast anywhere in the world from here. This place is so cutting edge, I'm telling you. Scott Edwards is running this studio, moving the cameras, doing everything that has to be done. He can do the editing, do the cutting, send it on out. Yet he's in Manchester, England, and I'm sitting in Toronto. This is all because we went to the moon. There were so many lessons learned by doing this. What are you going to do? Look, think. The very same laws will work in harmony with you if you work in harmony with them. To move whatever is required for you to manifest into physical form, whatever goal you desire. You see, we're working with absolute laws, and marvelous things will happen. Now stay with me. Look here. Just take a real good look at this. See that circle? That's the top of the world right there. That's sitting right at the top of the world. See these two guys? They stood there. That's Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay. They went there in 1951 and failed. He's a beekeeper from Auckland, New Zealand. He was a beekeeper. He's going to do something that had never been done before. Do you know there's people embedded in ice at the top of that mountain that are never coming down? They were going to go to they wanted to climb the Mount Everest, and they didn't make it. They died up there. They ran out of oxygen, and it's all over. Hillary went there in 1951. He failed. And he went home. The people thought he was right out of his mind when he went back in 1952. They said, you're going to kill yourself doing this. You've got to stop it. And you know something? He failed again. But in 1953, Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay stood right on the top of that mountain. There they are. And look at this. They planted their flag right on the top of the mountain. Pretty amazing. They did not know how, but it was at 11:30 a.m. on May the 29th, 1953. Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay had reached the highest point on earth. Hillary said, to my great delight, I realized we were on top of Mount Everest and the whole world was spread out below us. That's because they decided to do it. Do you recognize that? Do you recognize that statue? Do you recognize that man? He did not know how. Thomas Alva Edison Memorial Tower. Thomas Edison's teacher said he was too stupid to learn anything. He was fired from his first 2 jobs for being non-productive. As an inventor, Edison made 1,000 unsuccessful attempts at inventing the light bulb. When a reporter asked, how did it feel failing 1,000 times? Edison said, I didn't fail 1,000 times. The light bulb was an invention with 1,000 steps. These are goals. Your paradigm. It's a mental program that has almost exclusive control over our habitual behavior. And almost all of our behavior is habitual. Now really start to think about this. This is so important. You've got to make a decision to change. If you're going to change, really go after something big. You know, when Ray Stanford gave me this book, then he sat down and he started to ask me what I wanted. I wrote on the card in my pocket. I've carried a card in my pocket ever since. In fact, I've got a couple of them here. Same card, same thing on them. And I've got a goal written here. And I'll reach this goal just as sure as it's going to get dark out tonight. That's how we're here now, by goals. Well, I put on it I was going to have $25,000 by New Year's Day of 1970. I gave myself almost a decade. This was 1961. I did not believe it would happen. I did not believe it would happen. But you know, it happened so fast. It happened so fast I had a hard time believing it. I started cleaning one office. $15 a time I cleaned it twice a month, $30. And I do remember when I started too, it was one massive big office. I had to wash the floor. I thought anybody could wash a floor. I had water everywhere. I did not know how to wash a floor. Well, I probably knew how to clean the kitchen floor. But this was thousands of square feet. I did not know how to do it. And I had water everywhere. When I left there, I sat down. I was very, very down. And I figured out I was making just a few cents an hour. But I kept going. I kept going. And then I got another office for $65 a month. And I worked a system. I went in there every night, 5 nights a week. When I got inside the door, I started working. And I worked my way around that office. And when I got around twice, I had finished. And I would leave. I started to do it real fast. I worked out systems for cleaning an office. And I got it real fast. I was real fast at it. So I was deciding how much I'd earn. We charged so much to do the job, and then if I did it real fast, I'd earn more money. I got real fast at it. You're going to make decisions. You're going to change something. You see? When paradigms stay in control, nothing changes. We've really got to understand this. Goals are so vitally important. You have the opportunity to become very wealthy if you really pay attention to what you're doing. Now look at Eric Hoffer said, in times of change, learners inherit the earth. Well, the learned find themselves beautifully equipped to deal with a world that no longer exists. I worked with him in 1969, and when he said that, I heard it and I burnt it into my mind. In times of change. See, in 1969, 1970, the world was changing very, very fast. And we thought it was going at a snail's pace relative to what we're doing now. But he said the learners will inherit the earth. I took that to be a metaphor for we'd be happy, healthy, and wealthy. The people, he said, that the learned find themselves beautifully equipped to deal with a world that no longer exists. See, the people that are learned, we had the idea, somewhere originated an idea, when you finish school, you're a learned person. The truth is there's no such thing as a learned person. You're either learning or you're not. It's not something you fill out and put a cap on. He said something else that was rather interesting. He said to learn, we need a certain degree of confidence, not too much and not too little. If you have too little, you'll think you can't learn. If you have too much, you'll think you don't have to learn. Now, do you see, you might be bouncing back and forth. We're talking about financial independence this week. That means you have enough money, you earn enough money that you really don't have to concern yourself with money. I am financially independent. I am. And when I started with this book, I was earning $4,000, I owed $6,000. I was in a mess. Now, it doesn't happen overnight, but you learn the rules and you can take control of yourself. The mind separates you from all other forms of life. That's what the mind does. Now, I've said that before, and I'll say it again. The mind separates you from all other forms of life. You see, you're a spiritual being, but you're unique. Everything's spirit. Spirit's omnipresent. So spirit's in everything. Spirit's in this book. It's omnipresent. That's 100% evenly present, all places at the same time. Science would call it energy. See, this book is energy. It's paper, it's energy. Well, all the other little creatures are completely at home in their environment. They blend in. You see? We don't blend in. We're totally disoriented. We've been given higher faculties and the ability to create our own environment. What kind of a life do you want? If you make up your mind, you're going to be financially independent. Now, you may be listening to me right now and say, Bob, if you understood where I was at, I don't care where you're at. It doesn't make any difference where you're at. Every minute you can start over. The money is the most accurate tool that you can get for measuring results. See, I'm all for checking results. It's very important. Now, this guy says you don't change things by fighting existing reality. Buckminster Fuller was a pretty bright guy. And he says you never change things by fighting existing reality. So quit fighting the situation that you're facing. Don't let the conditions or circumstance cloud your mind. Clear your mind. Quit looking at all that. I don't care how obvious that it is that you can't go further. You can go further. Never change things by fighting existing reality. To change something, you build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. He's building the geodesic dome. You think of it. It's quite a breakthrough. Buckminster Fuller was asked one time, he was training architects, and what's one of the first things you do? He said, I de-educate them. I get rid of all the nonsense that we've been taught, that there's limits to what we can do, and that it's illogical to think you can do certain things. He said, build a new model. Control the flow of thought energy. Let it flow freely to and through you, improving everything with which it connects. This is so important that you get this. It's so absolutely important. And most people don't get it. All right? You control the flow. You're a mass of energy and you function on frequencies. Now I want you to think about this for a moment because it's very important. It really is very important. You're a mass of energy and you function on frequencies. Now, I want you to really think about this. This could be you. It could be me. Okay? Now, it's neither you or me, but it is an excellent example of what we're like. Our body is a mass of energy. It's a mass of molecules in a very high state of vibration. And it glows. There's energy flowing to and through us. You can even photograph the energy leaving the body. You're a mass of energy. It's unbelievable when you stop and think of what we can do. Most people are extras in their own movie. They don't even realize they're the star. They decide where they're going to go. You don't let somebody else decide that. Now pay really close attention to this. Most people are extras in their own movie. You've got to decide what you really want. You take control. You're the director of your life. What do you really want? It's so important and so misunderstood. Now there's what most people want. They want time and money freedom. Time and money freedom. Now, Joel Barker, who wrote the book Paradigms, he said to be able to shape your future, you have to be willing and able to change your paradigm. This is so important. If you really want to become financially independent and you're having a little trouble with it, you got to change your paradigm. If you'll follow the direction we're going to give you, everything will change. Now, to deal with change in our fast-moving world, we must develop higher faculties. Now look at Albert Einstein said the intuitive mind is a sacred gift. The rational mind is a faithful servant. We have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift. Now let's take a few minutes and talk about what separates us from all the rest of the animal kingdom. Okay? Remember I said they're completely at home in their environment? That's because they operate by instinct, which is perfect. We had instinct removed and we had higher faculties put in our mind. Now, this should be taught in school. It should be taught to an infant. An infant can learn this. If they learn anything, they can learn this as well. So we want to really think about this. So give this your undivided attention. Watch really carefully now. We're going to talk about these different mental faculties that we've got. Perception. When you change your perception of something, you're going to find that something will change. Change your perception of how you're going to approach your life from this point on, how you're going to approach finances. You see, way back in 1961, when I read that book, I had to change my perception of my financial situation. I had to change the way I looked at earning money. Everything started to change. Now, I had to take, if you'll think for a moment, I took this book and I did exactly what Ray told me. He said, do exactly what I tell you until you find out I'm lying or I don't know what I'm talking about. Now, maybe that's what you want to do. If you're having difficulty, you're really having difficulty making things happen, forget about what you've been doing in the past. Just take my word and do exactly what I'm telling you. You do exactly what I'm telling you, I guarantee your life will change. Practice looking at things differently. Your perception. If you have a problem that you want to solve, write the problem out in as much detail as possible. As much detail as possible. And when you got that written out, sit down and look at it. And then say, now, is that problem on the paper or is it in me? Get the problem out of yourself. As long as the problem's in yourself, you're never going to see a solution. Take it out of yourself. Look at it objectively. Look at it through your eyes written on the paper. It's going to start to change. Shrink it. Make it smaller. Then go sit on another side of the table and say, how would Bob Proctor look at this? And mentally get into my energy and say, how would I look at it? Then go sit somewhere else and say, how would Earl Nightingale look at this? Or how would Edison look at this? You can get into their energy, just look at it and think from their point of view. Perception. You know? Memory. Do you know there's no such thing as a bad memory? No such thing. Abdullah, a psychiatrist we had over here from Saudi Arabia, he was teaching people to memorize the Quran. I remember, I think I mentioned the other day that we brought Harry Lorraine in from New York, and on the way in he picked up a magazine, one of the weekly magazines, it was Time or Newsweek, one of those magazines, and he took a black marker, each page, if it was page 1, page 3, you know, marked it right in the middle of the page with a black marker. He read that magazine from New York to Toronto. That's about a 1-hour flight. He memorized the entire magazine. He cut the spine off it, took all the pages, and then photocopied them. Did all kinds of them. He handed out those pages when people came into the convention center in downtown Toronto. And all kinds of people got these pages. They were just told to hold on to them. He introduced himself. He stood at one door, and at that door, whoever came in there, he introduced himself to them, asked them their name. When he got up on the stage, he said, if I met you at the door, stand up. Well, all kinds of people. There was over 3,000 people there. So, I don't know, maybe 600, 700, 800 of them stood up. He told every one of them what their name was, and if it was a difficult name to pronounce, he would spell it for them. Then he said, just start reading on the page that you've got. Just tell me the page. And you could stop anywhere, and he would pick up where they stopped. It was mind-blowing what he did. And he pointed out, everybody has a perfect memory. It's weak. We have weak memories. We got to develop them. You develop your memory through ridiculous association. Okay? Your imagination. Hill, in here, he said, it's the most marvelous, miraculous, inconceivably powerful force the world has ever known. Our imagination. Now think about this for a moment. Our imagination will take us anywhere we want to go. When we go back and think of Ed Hillary, he wanted to go to the top of Mount Everest. See, he knew he had some innate awareness. If he could see himself there, he knew he could go there. It's amazing the way you look at this. Okay? Everything operates on frequencies. Everything operates on frequencies. When your imagination takes you somewhere, when you go somewhere in your imagination, you're actually traveling somewhere, and you are going on a particular frequency. When you think of what you want, you see yourself with it, you have placed yourself on a certain frequency. By staying on that frequency, you start to attract to you everything that you need for the manifestation of that particular idea. Now that's what we're teaching here, okay? Reason gives us the ability to think. That's where we just pluck energy out of the no thing and build something in our mind. We take energy and create a picture of it in our mind. And we put all these pictures together until we build a picture of exactly what it is we want. Intuition, it's a marvelous tool. If I walk by you, I could tell you pretty well what you're like. I could pick up your energy. I can read it with my intuitive factor. Now, if I can do it, you can do it. Anything you ever see one person do, you know you can do if you'll pay the price to do it. But you've got to pay the price. There's no free lunch. No free lunch. Intuition is the mental faculty that picks up vibration and translates them in their mind of what the vibrations are all about. Everything operates on a frequency. This book is vibrating. The book is vibrating. Okay? This pen is vibrating. Here we got a bottle of water. This is vibrating. While I'm looking at it, I might as well take a drink. Let's keep going. The will. Marvelous tool. I remember just shortly after The Secret came out, I got on a plane. I was sitting in 1A. That's right against the window on the left-hand side of the plane. This guy reached over. No, pardon me, I was in 1B. I was on the aisle. He was in 2B, or 2A. He was on the window. This guy reached over after I was sitting there for a few minutes, touched me on the shoulder. He said, I think you could help me. I looked at him and I said, well, maybe I could. He said, I'm a golfer. I'm a professional golfer. And he said, I'm on my way to New York for the FedEx tournament. And I said, I could probably help you a lot. I spilled some water here. And I got to know him. He was a professional golfer. I went out on a couple of tours with him, walked around while he was playing. I got in the clubhouse where all the pros were. And it was rather interesting. I was talking to a few of them. And he said, this is America's royalty. You have no idea how well those pros are treated. Just blow your mind. And I followed him around the course. Well, I was with him in a hotel room at night, and he said, how do you concentrate? I said, that's a good question. So I took a black marker, and I went opposite where he was sitting, and I put a little black dot on the wall in the hotel. I said, I want you to focus on that dot. Keep your mind locked on the dot. And it wanders, bring it right back to the dot. Don't feel bad. Don't say I'm wandering. No, stay on the dot. Now, if you stayed 2 minutes or 2 seconds, 3 seconds, you probably set a family record. Our mind moves so fast. There's so much happening in our mind. Mental activity is not thinking, and there's a lot of that going on. Well, the will gives us the ability to focus on that. And it's absolutely amazing how that works. The will is powerful. When energy flows into you and you focus, that makes that energy very strong. You increase the amplitude of vibration sending it off. Think of this. If you're in a mall, pardon me, if you're in a shopping mall and you're standing there and there's somebody behind you staring at you, feel them stare at you. You can feel it. You turn around, sure enough, somebody's staring at you and they turned away. How do you feel that? Feeling is vibration. It's conscious awareness of vibration. They're sending a powerful charge of energy. It's hitting your brain. You feel it. See? That's what vibration does. And that's what will does. The will takes the energy that's flowing into our consciousness and sends it off in a very powerful way. It increases the amplitude of vibration. Okay? To deal with change in our fast-moving world, you must develop your higher faculties. It's absolutely essential. You just can't march along like you are. Now, this doesn't happen by accident. Let's look here for a moment. Here we are here. There's all that knowledge in your conscious mind, okay? And the results are just not in sync with everything you've got in your mind. What is the problem? Well, the problem is that the paradigm has been controlling us. We've got all this knowledge, but it's the paradigm that's controlling us. The knowledge isn't paying off. What do we have to do? We have to change the paradigm. And we're going to show you how to change the paradigm. In fact, you're changing it while you're watching this, okay? Now, let's talk about the laws of compensation. We said we would talk about money. I'm going to talk about money. There are absolute laws governing compensation. Absolute laws, okay? These laws govern how much money you're going to earn. Look at, I have an envelope here with some money in it, okay? I like carrying some money all the time. This stuff here, it's good stuff. You can make it happen. You can do things with this, okay? And these are all $100 bills. So I can exchange this for the service or product worth $100. And if I need more, I get a few more. Now you can get an ever-ending supply of these. You really can. And you know something? I have found maybe it doesn't work for everybody, but it works for me. When I carry a little bundle of money around, I feel a little better about me because I never had money for so long. I was always broke. So like I said yesterday, I was always hitting somebody up for a couple of bucks for gas. So let's look now. Watch this really carefully. The law of compensation clearly states the amount of money you earn will always be in exact ratio to three things: the need for what you do, your ability to do it, and the difficulty there will be in replacing you. Now think about this. It's the need for what you do. Do you know, I've been in Shanghai, I've been in Buenos Aires, I've been in Singapore, I have been in Kuala Lumpur, Kota Kinabalu, I've been in Germany, all over Europe, all over Great Britain, North America, South America. I've been all over the world. Everywhere I've gone, people need what we've got. Everywhere I've gone, everywhere. There's a tremendous need for what we do. Now, that's there. I don't even have anything to do with that. The second one, your ability to do it. How good are you at communicating this information? If you're really good, you can earn a lot of money. If you're really good, you're going to be very difficult to replace. Think about this for a moment. Your focus just has to be right here. Your ability to do what you're doing. You're going to become a master at it. Just make up your mind you're going to get very, very good at it. You do that. I work every day at getting better at communicating this information. Now, you get really good at what you're doing, and you know something? You start to earn a lot of money. Everybody wants freedom. Everybody wants freedom. They want time and money freedom. You'll be amazed how much free time you'll have when you never have to think about money. Now look at big money. Napoleon Hill wrote about it. When he talked about it, he said if you think of it like a river, a flow of energy, and he compared it to a river, and he said on one side the river's flowing one way, and the other side the river's flowing the opposite way. On one side it flowing in, it carries you off into prosperity, and the other side takes you in the opposite direction. And he said that this could be an oar. This article that he wrote could be an oar to flip you to the other side of the river. I was on the wrong side of the river, and I got flipped over on the right side through studying this book and the assistance that I got and the mentoring that I got from Ray and the other people. And I started to learn what there was about big money, how you can do it, okay? There's 3 income earning strategies. I want you to really watch this. 3 income earning strategies, M1, M2, and M3. Now, if you have children, I would strongly recommend, now pay close attention, if you have children, focus on number 3, because that's the one strategy of the 3 that really works well. Now really watch closely. The M1 strategy is used by 96% of the population. And get this, they don't earn hardly anything. These people are trading their time for money. Okay? How do they do it? 96% are trading their time for money. And they don't get it. M2 is where 3% operate. Okay? 3% operate there. That's where they invest money to earn money. Now the people in the M1, they try and squirrel a little bit away from what they're earning so that they could invest it because they know about this other thing. But usually they don't know much about investing, and they make an investment, then they lose it. You've got to really know what you're doing. Now watch here for a moment. M1 is used by 1% of the population, but they earn 96% of all the money. Almost the polar opposite to the M1 group. M1, 96% of it, and they earn 1% of the money. Here, this group, 1% of the population earns 96% of all the money. Now, I stumbled on this way back in the early 60s. Didn't know what I was doing, but I started to earn a lot of money. These people multiply their time by setting up multiple sources of income. It's absolutely amazing what goes on here. Multiply your time by setting up multiple sources of income. Now, we can show you how to turn your annual income into a monthly income. We can. And this can be accomplished by having multiple sources of income. You see? Wealthy people historically have always had multiple sources of income. It's absolutely amazing. Our world is changing. Our world's not getting bigger. Our world is getting smaller. It's shrinking. You're only a short time away from anywhere in the world today. The world is really getting smaller. You can have business in multiple locations today. Look at what we're doing here. We have people all over the world on this call. Well, you can have people all over the world working with you. Money is attracted to me. That is the attitude that you want to form. Form that attitude. Build that idea in your mind. Keep repeating that. I have one that I keep repeating. I'm so happy and grateful now that money comes to me in increasing quantities through multiple sources on a continuous basis. I'm so happy and grateful now that money comes to me in increasing quantities through multiple sources on a continuous basis. That happens every day. I'm not sure how many sources of income I've got, but I got a lot of them. You can have too. Now look here for a moment. MSIs. You can have sources of income all over the world. There's people on this line you could have joint ventures with, and this just keeps adding up. There's no end to how many sources of income you can have. With the internet we've got today, affiliate work, goodness gracious, you can have business coming from everywhere you can think of, and the money just keeps adding up. Now you'll say, well, are all these sources of income the same size? No, they're not. They're not. Some of them grow, some of them stay small, but they all have one thing in common. They all flow into your bank. Big or small, multiple sources of income. Comes from all over the world. There's no end to where it can come from. Now think. I want to suggest you pick a financial target that you will reach and the date you're going to reach it. Make up your mind you're going to reach a financial target. You can set up multiple sources of income. There's all kinds of things you can do. We send mailings out all the time with great opportunities. We'll show you great opportunity before you finish this week. Now, I want you to review what we showed you here. I've had the pleasure of working with Ed Hillary, who went to the top of Mount Everest on 2 or 3 occasions. The only thing that was different about that man and you or me is his size. He was a very big man. But he knew, he had an innate awareness. If he could see it in his head, he could hold it in his hand. In 1973, I knew when I wrote on a paper, I built a company that operates all over the world. I knew that it was going to happen. I had absolutely no idea how it was going to happen. Mikey phoned me a month ago, said, Bob, we've just gone into every country in the world. Now, Betty from the IT department phoned and told her that. We had gone into over 200 countries. I think there's only 180 some countries in the world, but there's other places that qualify as something like a country. Now, I want you to really think about what I've said. This is recorded, so I believe they can go back and watch it. And really build a really great picture of yourself. See yourself with everything you want. But make certain that you sit down and write what you want on a card. Write whatever you want on a card. If it's money you want, we're showing you how to get it. Now, the information I shared today is very, very valuable information. You can have anything you want. There's no free lunch, you got to work. You got to put your heart into it. And it just keeps getting better. I look forward to be back tomorrow, but right now I'm going to turn you over to our illustrious host, and she's going to turn you over to a guy that I met, I don't know, some number of years ago. And Mikey is probably one of the very best students I'll ever find. Well, both these people, both Mikey and Arash, they're just phenomenal students. I remember one day standing in a seminar, and Mikey asked me something about what I studied. And I gave her a book that I was reading then. It was pretty heavy stuff. And she started to study it. Her whole life has changed. So is his. He's our Senior Vice President of Sales. Mikey is our Chief Operating Officer. This guy's our Senior Vice President of Sales. He's a great guy, Arash. Go ahead, Mikey. It's all yours.
All right. Thanks so much, Bob. And that's right. I want to bring Arash back on today to talk about Bob's lesson today. There were so many great takeaways. Arash, I would love to hear some of your biggest takeaways from today's lesson.
Sure, Mike. You know, the first thing, and I kind of talked about it a little bit, teased it a little bit yesterday, but Bob really emphasized it today. And I want you guys to understand the importance of it when Bob is asking, what is it that I really want? This is essential. But then he really talked about, you don't need to know how you're going to do it, but you have to want it. I always tell people I work with that your want has to be through the roof. And here's where we walk into goals. And in order, our goal here this week with the Science of Getting Rich is to teach people how to create financial independence, like Bob talked about. In order to create financial independence, Bob started today with today's got to be decision day. I encourage everybody listening to this call, no matter the circumstances they're in, to accept the idea that I am going to be financially independent. Like, you want to accept that idea, because once you accept the idea, it just seeps right down and through you into your subconscious mind. You don't need to know how it's going to happen. You don't know when it's going to happen, but you've got to accept that idea. I cannot emphasize this more, how important that is.
So good, Arash. And at the beginning, you said, what do you want? And we know from working so closely with our clients over the years and at our events really closely, especially you talking to our clients on a daily basis, that a lot of times people have trouble figuring out what they want. Can you talk about why that hangs a lot of people up and how to get through it?
Well, in my opinion, it hangs people up because they're not thinking based on what they want. They're thinking based on their circumstances. They're thinking based on their quote unquote failures. But we know there's no such thing as failure unless you quit. Okay. So the best exercise that I always tell people is get out a piece of paper. Bob does this with me even to this day. If I'm stuck, he'll say, get out a piece of paper and write out in the present tense, I'm so happy and grateful, and take yourself into the future, 6 months, a year, 2 years, whatever it is. It will really open your imagination up and open your heart up. You know, I always share that one of the biggest things that you want to do is remove scarcity from your heart. Scarcity can come from fear, can come from poverty consciousness. But once we start focusing on abundance, you know, and think in terms of abundance, and when we're going to our goal, the trick here with goals is very simple. You think about what is it that I really want, and you focus and get emotionally involved with that want and fall in love with that idea. But you've got to focus all day long on how you can, not why you can't. And as you do that, what's going to happen is everything is going to start attracting to you, because the universe always delivers to us what we're in harmony with. Well, if you and I, Mike, are thinking only on how we can achieve our goal, only in this case, achieve financial independence, it's going to trigger ideas in our mind, and then it's going to happen. It's going to start, you know, we're not going to know exactly how it's going to happen, but the steps are going to start lining up.
Absolutely. Now, I would love to take a flashback to yesterday where we talked primarily about paradigms and tie that into today's lessons about goals and how they work together.
Well, I can tell you for me, and I learned it from the best in Bob, you know, any goal that I have, the first thing that I do is tell myself, I have got to shift my paradigm and change my paradigm to be in harmony with the paradigm of the goal. So how do you do that? You start thinking like the person. You start changing your attitude like that person. You start creating discipline like that person. You know, Bob had a slide yesterday that he said there's 2 key pillars to success. And one was decision, and the other is discipline. If we just did those 2 things, started making decisions like that person and creating the discipline of that person, you know, creating the thinking of that person, we're going to align our paradigm. So it's absolutely critical that we do that.
And we talk a little bit about mindset and what kind of mindset someone needs to have to win.
The biggest mindset somebody has to win is that they really want to win. I know it sounds so simple. Most people say they want to win, but as soon as they get punched in the mouth metaphorically, by something that happened in their environment that day, well, their winning attitude changes right away. So first thing we have to do is develop the attitude of a winner. We got to create the image of a winner. That's an attitude of itself. So this goes into attitude that I know, Bob said something about attitude that I don't know if everyone caught it, but you really want to catch it. At the end of his lesson today, he said, money is attracted to me. He said, say that over and over again. But then he said, that is an attitude you want to have. Most people won't realize that money is an attitude. And we want to really understand attitude really clearly, because that is going to develop your financial independence. You can't operate with scarcity and create abundance. It's impossible. So when we're talking about, everything that we're wrapping up today, they all are building on each other. It's not hard ideas. Everyone can understand them. It's the application of the ideas that create the success. And that's what creates the winning formula and the winning attitude.
I love that, Araj. And now let's get into the application. Can you give us our assignment for today?
Sure. So this is a very important assignment. It's very tedious, but it will really help you as you go through it. What we want you to do is write out your goal. This goes into your want. Write out your goal in the present tense 50 times. And I'm going to give you an example of how I write my goal, just for anybody who's never done this. I am so happy and grateful now that I am earning $100,000 or more every month, and I love it. I am happy, healthy, and wealthy, and it is done. Now I'm making up a goal that could be yours, that could not be yours. It doesn't matter what the goal is. I want this to be your goal of what you really want. I don't want it to be what you think you can achieve. I want it to be how you really want to live. Because as the week goes on, we're going to show you on how to build that image. But I really want you to get clear about your want and write it in where it's so easy to understand for yourself, and really put emotion in it. The emotion, we want to start talking the subconscious's language, which is emotion. That's why I always put, and I love it. I'm happy, healthy, and wealthy, give you an idea. But then I want you to take a picture of it and post it in the group, because that creates accountability. And tag your success advisor, because accountability is a success insurance policy. Okay. And the more accountable you can be, the better it is. I always say, I want everyone to be my accountability partners. So I'm going to turn it over to you now, Tommy.
Hey, thank you so much, Arash. Well, hello, everyone. My name is Tommy Collier. I'm the Creative Media Director here at Proctor Gallagher Institute, and I'm very happy to be here with you to close this out again today. So shout out to everyone watching over on YouTube. Hey, YouTubers. We're so glad you're tuning in with us. You are more than welcome. Oops, sorry, my phone's ringing. You are more than welcome to stay where you are and keep watching the training right there on YouTube this week. But we want to invite you to register for the training using the link in the description of the video, and come and join us on Facebook so you can receive the added benefits of our daily assignments, bonus live sessions, and a personally assigned success advisor, plus all of the community interaction that's happening over here in the group this week. So feel free to register and come on over if you would like. The link is in the description of the YouTube video. Okay, Facebook folks, Arash just gave us a really powerful assignment, so I want to encourage you to dive into that right away. Remember, watching Bob's lessons is only one part of the work this week. If you really want to change your paradigm, it's essential that you put time and attention into these powerful homework assignments. Doing the assignments is really going to make the difference for you between just coming here to be entertained or showing up to be transformed. So which one are you? Okay, here's a quick reminder of the assignment. Grab a notebook or a few clean sheets of paper. Write out that goal of yours 50 times in the present tense, starting with, I am so happy and grateful now that. Now you want to actually write this out by hand, okay? Don't type it, don't copy and paste it, write it by hand 50 times. Then take a photo of your writing and post it here in the group and tag your success advisor. Now, tomorrow's training is going to be another fantastic lesson for you. So be back here at 9 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow, or you can catch the replay, of course. And we have so much more amazing content still coming this week, including some special guests and an exclusive announcement for you on Thursday, plus a full hour Q&A with Bob on Friday that you don't want to miss. So stay tuned with us. Now, we have a lot of people who have just joined this event. So I want to reiterate a couple of housekeeping items before we sign off for the day. You can find the replay for today's broadcast and all of the trainings this week under the guides section of this Facebook group. The guides tab is found at the top menu of the group, okay? And that is where everything important to this training can be found this week. If you want to receive notifications and reminders about the live broadcasts each day, check out the events section of this group. There you will find an event for each of the live training sessions and the bonus sessions. Mark that you are going to each of those events, and you will receive reminders and notifications leading up to the start of the broadcast. You will also be able to see the start time in your own time zone using those events. If you have not made contact with your PGI Success Advisor yet, or don't know who your advisor is, first of all, make sure you have registered for this training on our website. Maybe somebody has invited you into this group, but you want to register on our website, okay? After you register, you will receive an email letting you know who your advisor is. Make sure you check your spam or promotions folders if you haven't seen that email. And if you've done all of that and still don't know who your advisor is, you can go ahead and choose your own, okay? Go to the guide section. It's guide number 2. Where it says, meet your PGI Staff Success Advisor. And you can just choose someone from our team that you resonate with and send them a private message. Now, please know that Mikey and I are not success advisors, so don't message us. Pick someone from our Success Advisor team that you see there in the guide section. They're all super qualified, and any one of them will be more than happy to help you. Now, if you haven't already, make sure you introduce yourself here in the group. Post a photo, tell us where you're from and what you're looking to get out of this week. We are creating such a cool group here, and we want to just get to know as many of you as we possibly can this week. The replay for today will be available as soon as we stop the broadcast, and I want to remind you that the replays for this training will be available for a limited amount of time. The replays are going to come down on Monday night, June 21st, so make sure you get the replays watched and rewatched before then. All right, I want to thank you for tuning in with us again today. We will see you back here at 9 a.m. tomorrow Eastern and for Bob's next lesson. And you can also tune in this afternoon here in the Facebook group. We have our Coach's Corner segment coming up with Mikey Stiller and PGI Success Advisor Bill Banta. That's going to be at 1 p.m. Eastern time today, just about 3 hours from now. And then we'll be hosting our really cool special interactive roundtable discussion with our PGI Success Advisors later today too. That'll going to be at 4 p.m. Eastern time. And you can check out the events section of this group for that event and a link to join us over on Zoom if you want to participate interactively with us, or you can watch the live stream here in the Facebook group. All right, now fire up those writing utensils and get to work right away on today's assignment. Write that goal 50 times. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and we will see you soon. Bye-bye.